Welcome to the premiere episode of Legends of the Barbed Wire Hotel. This isn't just a podcast, it's a journey into the lives of American veterans whose stories too often go unheard. When we meet someone who has served, we thank them, offer them a handshake, or buy them a cup of coffee on Veterans Day. But do we truly know what shaped them, what they endured, or how their service to our country changed their lives and the lives of those they left behind? How did their service transform them, and what sacrifices did they quietly carry with them afterward? I am Diana Maul Halstead, the Kriegie's daughter. During World War II, Kriegie was short for the German word Kriegsgefangenen, a word I butcher more often than not. It means prisoner of war. My dad, Henry Eugene Maul, was one of them. His story is where this podcast began. Growing up, I knew very little about my dad's time in the war. All I knew was that his plane was shot down, he broke his ribs landing in a tree, and for months he ate nothing but grass and stray rodents to survive. My dad passed away almost 30 years ago, and for most of my life, these fragments were all I had of his story. But 10 years ago, I discovered something that changed everything. A diary he kept while imprisoned in Germany, hidden away for 75 years. Reading it opened a door into a life I had never known, full of hunger, hardship, and hope. He wrote about the bonds he formed with other POWs and the strength it took to endure each day behind the barbed wire. His time as a prisoner affected every aspect of his life. After the war, my dad insisted my mom always spend $30 a month on groceries so we would never go hungry like he had. He never read another book, only newspapers and magazines, as if he couldn't bear to lose himself in another story again. Publishing his diary as Writings from the Barbed Wire Hotel was the first step in my journey to honor my dad's memory. But it also opened my eyes to the stories of countless other veterans whose experiences remained untold. Every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine, whether stateside or storming beaches, has a story worth preserving. Veterans are legends because every decision to serve is an act of bravery. Whether they enlisted or were drafted, they chose to step forward and take on the responsibility of defending others, often at great personal cost. Many endured unimaginable challenges, combat, separation from loved ones, and the loss of comrades, while others took on quieter roles behind the scenes. Every veteran, no matter their job or mission, contributed to a collective effort larger than themselves. The word legend isn't reserved for only those who fought in battles or earned medals. It is for anyone who put on a uniform, committed to serve, and carried the weight of that decision for the rest of their lives. Their sacrifices ripple through generations. The moments they missed with their families, the burdens they carried in silence, and the courage it took to move forward after their service. Veterans are legends not just because of what they did, but because of what they represent: duty, honor, and an unwavering belief in something greater than themselves. Each veteran is part of the story of freedom, a thread woven in the fabric of our history, and without their contributions, that fabric would unravel. Inspired by my dad's journey, I committed myself to learning and sharing the stories of other veterans. I realize that many of these personal histories, small but essential cogs in the machine of service, are at risk of being lost. Whether a soldier fought on the front lines or served stateside, every role matters. Without the serviceman sitting at a desk pushing paper, or the combat medic, the soldier on the battlefield couldn't function. The United States has always believed that many can operate as one. That's why in 1782, E pluribus unum, out of many, one, became part of the Great Seal of these United States. Every veteran, no matter their job, is part of that unity. 2 months ago, I decided it was time to launch this podcast, Legends of the Barbed Wire Hotel. The name comes from a drawing my dad made of prisoners welcoming newcomers at the camp gates. These seasoned POWs offered a kind word and heard about news from home. I realized that just as my dad and his fellow prisoners welcomed others into their world, this podcast would welcome veterans to share their stories that might otherwise be lost to time. Our goal with Legends of the Barbed Wire Hotel is to give veterans a platform to tell their stories, not just for their children or grandchildren, but for their great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren. The future remembers the past as it is reported, and we want to tell the stories that don't make it into the history books. Every veteran has a unique journey, and not all are filled with gunfire, helicopters, or life and death decisions. Some served on the front lines, while others supported them stateside. But all of them are part of the same machine, working together to protect the freedoms we enjoy today. If you are a veteran or know someone who is, we'd love to hear your story. Whether your experience was in combat or clerical, your story matters. We'll even send you the questions in advance to make it easy. You can contact us through social media at The Kriegie's Daughter or email us at thekriegiesdaughter@gmail.com. The spelling of Kriegie keeps with the rules. I before E except after C, so it's Kriegie. thekriegiesdaughter@gmail.com. As I learned with my dad's diary, even small details can reveal powerful truths. It was through a chance Facebook message that I connected with a young lady a couple of months ago who told me about her grandfather's first cousin, Staff Sergeant Nordell Lloyd. He was one of the men in my dad's crew. Sadly, he tragically died in the last forced march, just 2 weeks before the end of the war. These connections remind me how vital it is to capture and preserve the stories of these brave souls before they are lost forever. If you'd like to read more about my dad's journey, his memoir, Writings from the Barbed Wire Hotel, is available at lulu.com. That's LULU.com. This podcast is about much more than my dad's story. It's about honoring the journeys of every veteran, those who made the decision to serve, who sacrificed time with their families, and who carried burdens long after their service ended. For some, sharing their stories can be difficult, but we want to create a space where they feel safe to reflect and remember. Please subscribe to Legends of the Barbed Wire Hotel on your favorite podcast platform to help us spread these stories and honor those who serve. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with others, leave a review, and help us continue this important mission. And most importantly, if you are a veteran, please share your story, whether it's with us or with someone else, your story matters. To all veterans, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your service, your sacrifices, and for protecting our country and its freedoms. Be part of the conversation on Facebook or Instagram at The Kriegie's Daughter, or email us at thekriegiesdaughter@gmail.com. This has been Legends of the Barbed Wire Hotel. Wait, before you go, here's a little humor to leave you smiling. Why did the soldier break up with the barbed wire? Because it was too clingy. Did you get it? It was too clingy. Sometimes I crack myself up. You can send thanks for that little joke to my son Christopher. Legends of the Barbed Wire Hotel was written and produced by Diana Maul Halstead, the Kriegie's daughter. Thanks for listening.